Imagine you're standing outside your home. Someone threatens you. You have a chance to walk away, but instead, you stand your ground. Could the law protect you if that confrontation turns deadly? This is where one of America's most controversial self-defense doctrines begins. It's called stand your ground. And despite the name, it does not mean you're legally allowed to kill someone simply because you feel threatened. The real story is much more complicated. For centuries, American self-defense law developed around a basic idea. If you're attacked, you can defend yourself. But in some jurisdictions, there was another question. If you could safely escape, were you legally required to retreat? That's known as the duty to retreat. Stand your ground laws changed that equation. In states that recognize them, a person who is lawfully present generally does not have to retreat before using legally justified force against an imminent threat. The idea sounds simple, but real life isn't. Because the most important question isn't simply, did you stand your ground? It's this: was the force actually justified? Imagine two people having an argument in a parking lot. The situation becomes tense. One person threatens the other. Then suddenly, deadly force is used. Was that self-defense? Or did the person who used force actually create or escalate the confrontation? That's where courts have to examine the details. Was there an imminent threat? Was deadly force necessary? Was the person's belief reasonable? Was the response proportional to the danger? And was the person who used force the initial aggressor? Those questions can completely change the legal outcome. And there's another important distinction. Stand your ground is often confused with the Castle Doctrine. The Castle Doctrine traditionally applies to the home, your castle, and can remove a duty to retreat there, subject to the particular state's rules. Stand your ground takes the concept further in many jurisdictions, extending the protection beyond the home to places where a person has a legal right to be. Florida became a major turning point. In 2005, the state enacted legislation that expanded its self-defense framework and removed a duty to retreat for people who meet the law's requirements.
Other states followed with their own versions. Today, the rules are far from uniform. According to the National Conference of State Legislatures, at least 31 states recognize through statute or case law that there is no duty to retreat in places where a person is lawfully present. But that doesn't mean the same thing everywhere. Different states have different definitions, exceptions, procedures, and protections. And that's where the controversy begins. Supporters argue that innocent people shouldn't be forced to run away from a violent attacker before defending themselves. Critics argue that removing a duty to retreat can make confrontations more dangerous and can make it harder to determine who was actually acting defensively. And then there's something most headlines leave out: civil liability. In some states, self-defense protections can also shield a person from certain civil lawsuits. In others, civil claims can still be possible, even when criminal charges don't result in a conviction. So the law isn't simply a green light. It's a complicated legal framework built around a single question. Was the force necessary and legally justified under the circumstances? And that's why the phrase "license to kill" is so misleading. There is no nationwide American license to kill. There are different state laws governing when force, including deadly force, may be legally justified. The same confrontation can potentially produce very different legal questions depending on where it happens. One state, one law, one courtroom, and sometimes a completely different outcome. Stand your ground isn't really about having the right to kill. It's about where American law draws the line between self-defense and unlawful violence. And that line can be incredibly difficult to see until a real case puts it to the test. So the next time you see a headline saying someone stood their ground, remember, that's not the end of the story. It's the beginning of the legal question.
If you want more documentaries breaking down the hidden systems, laws, history, and stories shaping America and the world, subscribe to Geoparadox. Because sometimes the most interesting part of the story is the part hidden between the headlines.